The Custodes is a great army. It's fun to play and it can win you tough games. None of those are the reasons I started collecting Custodes. I got into them for the amazing models, and none were more amazing to me than the Dreadnoughts and Grav tanks. These were the first models I collected for my Custodes army, and I love using them. Sure, these units aren't all that great on the tabletop, but I'm going to show you how a few of them can be a lot more powerful than you think. Stick around. The Custodes have two vehicles in their codex, the Contemptor Dreadnought and the Land Raider. I'm not going to cover these vehicles today, as I don't think either of them are very good or particularly exciting. The Forge World vehicles, on the other hand, may not be strong units, but at least they are interesting. First, the Contemptor Achilles Dreadnought, with its powerful Dread Spear, is just a very cool unit. At 245 points, it is pretty expensive. It does only have a 5-up invulnerable save, like a standard Contemptor, which I think is a big missed opportunity. And I think it would be a lot more interesting if it did get that +1 invulnerable save like all other Custodes. One interesting thing about Custodes Dreadnoughts is that they do have the ability to deep strike using the stratagem from Golden Light they come. This could be pretty unique when you have a Dreadnought this powerful able to deep strike anywhere it wants on the board. Let's take a closer look at this Dreadnought in action and show you what it's able to do against some other mid-tier vehicles. It's coming up against 3 Blight Haulers. Now these things are surprisingly hard to remove. Now let's just say my Dreadnought deep struck onto the board here, 9 inches away from these Blight Haulers. So it's got itself all the way up the board, and now it's going to get to shoot. Now in the shooting phase, this Dread Spear has D3 shots. All 3, perfect. And it hits on 2s. Okay, all 3 hits. Now, this thing has a huge strength of 9, which means it wounds on 3s. All right, all 3 wounds. That's perfect. Now, this thing has a -3 AP, which is going to give these things a 5-up invulnerable save. They failed all 3. This is 3d6 damage. So we'll do the first 2. That's 9 damage. These things only have 8 wounds, but it has Disgustingly Resilient, so let's assume it's going to pass. And we did another 5. So that's 14 wounds. That's going to be enough to kill one of these, and it does explode on 4. So it blows up, and it ends up doing a mortal wound to its counterparts. Now I have the Lastrum Bolter, which is a rapid fire 2. Hitting on 2s. Okay, we got 3 hits. These are strength 5. We got 1 wound, and it's -1 AP. Okay, it made the save. Now I get to do my charge. This is a 9-inch charge. All right, we got an 11, nice. Right in. Now we get to attack. This Dread Spear has 4 attacks hitting on 2s. Okay, we all hit, and we get a 6. And on any 6s to hit on the turn we charge, we do an automatic mortal wound. So we'll take the Disgustingly Resilient, 5-up. Okay, it passed. But now I have a huge strength of 14 against the toughness of 7. That means I wound on 2s here. All right, 4 wounds. So -3 AP, so just the 5-up invulnerable save. It failed all 3. This is another 3d6. We'll do the first 2. It's only 5. The next one. We're up to 8 now, and we could command point the 1. Okay, so we're at 12. That's going to be enough to kill this one. And then we have the last one. It's just another 2 damage. This thing has done 18 wounds to these very hard to kill vehicles in 1 turn, the turn it deep struck. It's pretty impressive. One thing to note about it though is it is actually easier to kill than the average Custodes model. Even a Custodes infantry model with a 3 or 4-up invulnerable save and a large number of wounds can sometimes be a lot harder to remove than this Dreadnought. If you manage to pit this Dreadnought against the right kind of target, like these Blight Haulers, you'll find that it can pretty easily make back its points. But if it gets bogged down fighting the wrong kind of opponent, it's not really going to do anything for you. The next vehicle I want to cover is the Chronos Graf tank. This is an amazing looking model, and it's a lot better on the table than people give it credit for. It has some really amazing weapons, and when paired with its ballistic skill of 2, it can really do a lot of damage. Let's take a look at this thing in action against a typical large target. Now, because this tank is a flyer, it can actually get into some tough spots. I'm used to playing a lot of Tau, and my Riptides often get up in buildings, making them pretty hard to charge. This thing has that advantage too. In addition, its gun is a 60-inch range, which means it can outrange even las cannons. It can stay as far as it wants back and hit whatever it wants. In this case, we're going to have it taking on a really dangerous Tau Yavara here. Now, let's say our army was able to clear the drones up with the Yavara, and we have plenty of Hurricane Bolters in our army to do just that. And we're going to see if this big gun is able to put a dent into this battlesuit. So it has 8 shots hitting on 2s. All right, we all hit. And it's a strength of 8, so it's going to be wounding here on 3s. Okay, we failed 1 wound. Now, this is a -3 AP, so this suit goes to its 5-up invulnerable save. All right, it passed 1. We have 6 D3 damage. Okay, wow, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We just destroyed this Yavara. And in fact, in a lot of shooting phases that I've shot this tank, I've been able to pretty reliably take out most 10 or 11 wound vehicles. It also has a powerful twin Lastrum bolt cannon, which is like a heavy bolter, but it's strength 6 and -2 AP. This is actually a really impressive tank. In the next turn, when the Tau try to shoot back at you, you can take advantage of one of the Custodes' best abilities, the Vexilar Magnifica. This -1 to hit applies to vehicles. So now I have 2 of these Custodes Graf tanks sitting up here in a vehicle, and they both have -1 to hit. This can make them really tricky to take out. If, remember, they're even in range. At 60 inches, they can be way in a corner where a Riptide is only 36-inch range. And again, a las cannon, only at 48, I can be out of range of most of those. And because it has fly, it can sit at the top of a very tall building, get range on the whole board, and not have to worry about things being able to get up there to charge it, and things being able to shoot at it at range. And if you did need it up the board, you could always pair it with your Vexilar to make it a -1 to hit. I actually think this is pretty interesting. If someone does manage to shoot at it, it's not all that hard to kill. It only has a 6-up invulnerable save, unlike the rest of the army, and so it can go down pretty quickly. Finally, let's discuss the absolutely massive Chronos Graf tank. This massive transport costs 370 points, which is much more than it's worth. Unlike the Land Raider, which at least has 4 las cannons, this tank only has a twin Arcanus las blast, which is basically the equivalent of 2 las cannons. And the Lastrum bolt cannons that are on it are marginally better heavy bolters. So it's about half the damage output of a Land Raider, which is really not good considering it actually costs more. Now, it only carries 6 Custodes models, which isn't super impressive. It does have a toughness of 8 and 18 wounds, but it only has a 3-up save, unlike the 2+ of the Land Raider. And it only has a 6+ invulnerable save and a 6-up feel no pain, which doesn't amount to too much. It does make it kind of easy to take out for its points. Now, I really love this model. It's huge and it's amazing and it's like no other model in 40K, but I have a really tough time finding a spot for it in my Custodes army. I've only ever enjoyed playing this model in much larger games where I've had the points to spare, and even then, it's never been worth it. So if you like this model, buy it, paint it, maybe play it in 30K where it's really great, but in 40K, it's really just a showpiece. The Custodes vehicles might not be ready for competitive prime time, but they're still awesome units. I'm sure we're going to see improvements to these beta rules in the near future, but in the meantime, they're still amazing units to collect, paint, and play with in your casual games. Check out the next episode of Titan Tactics, where I'm going to show you how to construct a Custodes army along with some of my favorite army lists. Thanks for watching.